2025 is almost over, so why not do my 2026 predictions for all the major competitions, European competitions, AFCON, Ballon d'Or, and World Cup as well. We're gonna do it one by one. We're gonna start from the French League, but before we begin, make sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell, like the video if you enjoy it, and comment down below your predictions. Because if you get every single prediction right, at the end of the season, there will be a secret giveaway. It might be a jersey, it might be a football, we will see. But you know, get down below in the comments and make your prediction as well. Let's get straight to it with League On. Now, as you can see, most of you are surprised, if you don't watch too much of the League On, that Lens are actually first in League On. But if you don't actually watch League On, as I said before, you wouldn't know that PSG has had the biggest injury problems that I've ever seen, genuinely. This was their last starting 11. Mbappe, Gonzalo Ramos, okay, bro. Njidantu, my bad. Safonov, Zaire Emery is filling at right back. I just think this is not a representation of how good the teams are, but how unlucky PSG is this season. But I'm going to be honest, I expected more from PSG. I think it's, you know, when you win the Champions League and this and that, you're expected to do so well. And the fact that they have so many injuries and they have so much pressure on them, I think this is just a blip in their season. At the end of the season, we are going to be seeing PSG winning this league by at least 10 points. And I don't even think Lens is actually going to finish second because I think Marseille has the more consistent team and will outperform them as a whole in the season. That's just my opinion. But I'm going to say PSG is going to come back when all of their players are fit. So PSG is going to win League 1. That is my first prediction. Now, Serie A, which is way, way harder. I think it's one of the toughest leagues to actually predict. Because I think there is genuinely 5 teams that can win Serie A. I don't think Como is there yet. And the other teams here, they are just tracking behind a little bit too much for me. But I think Inter, AC, Napoli, Roma, Juve all have a chance. I think Juve is the least likely to do so because when I have watched Juve, I think they have such an inconsistent starting 11 and such inconsistent, how would you say it, front line. I think only Yildiz is putting up constant numbers. But their defense is solid. Their midfield is solid, but their attack is carried by Yildiz. So if Yildiz is not performing, I just don't see them winning this league. AS Roma have the best defensive record in this league, in my opinion, still. It's still the best. So yeah, they have a really good defense. But once again, as you can see, only 20 goals scored. I think this will be their downfall. And once again, as I said, Juve have Yildiz, but Roma don't really have a standout attacker. And I think that's hurting them this season. So I would say Roma would finish around 4th to 3rd. Napoli is not going to win the title because I think Conte doesn't really do back-to-backs with this team. I don't think the team... Maybe it can, but I think if they get 1 or 2 more injuries, they already have, of course, KDB injured, and in the big games I have seen Napoli play, they're not really moving me. I think AC Milan and Inter Milan are on another level. The table shows it as well. But I actually think, maybe I'm a bit biased towards Luka Modric, of course, but I actually think AC Milan have a better chance. I think Rafael Leao has been performing much, much better. I think Pulisic is actually a good player for Serie A. Luka Modric has been revitalized by Allegri, of course. They are playing top Allegri ball. So I'm gonna say Milan is gonna win it just about. But I wouldn't be surprised if Inter Milan or AC. You know what? No, AC Milan. I'm gonna stick with it. AC Milan. By the way, if you're still watching this video, of course, let me know down below your predictions as well. That is the giveaway, as I said before. So get down below. Don't be a Haiwan, as Faisal would say. So yeah. First 2 leagues are going to be won by PSG and AC Milan. Now, Bundesliga, my brother, we all know this, bro. I just want to big them up before I get to another league. I just want to big up the whole Bayern team and especially Vincent Kompany because everybody was doubting him after, of course, that Leverkusen season where Xabi Alonso completely cooked them with the invincible Leverkusen team. And Olise, Luis Diaz, Karl, oh my goodness. The potential on that guy, Karl, and of course Harry Kane. And this team is, by the way, 9 points clear in the league without Jamal Musiala. Musiala is still yet to play, and they have just got back their starting left back, Alphonso Davies. I think this is a no-brainer. Bayern is going to win Bundesliga. And I think actually, if you look at the stats, I think Kane is gonna break 40 goals this season as well. He's moving like a madman, and they are just scoring too much goals. So yeah, definitely Bundesliga is Bayern Munich. Now, for the big leagues, at least for us, because La Liga is kind of cheeks, but I'm gonna leave it for last. Premier League. We have seen some crazy stories in the Premier League this season. For example, Chelsea, you know, getting up there at the start of the season, but slowly falling off. And Liverpool as well. At the start of the season, getting late winners and this and that, but finally fallen off. And I think Liverpool is done out for this season. I think last few games, of course, Liverpool has been much better. They have been performing more overall as a team, I would say, more consistent. But they just concede too many goals, and they are so consistent in front of goal as well. Because if Ekitike is not scoring, let's be honest, who is really scoring? Mo Salah has just had a falling out with Arne Slot, and he's, of course, going to AFCON, or he's already at AFCON. And just recently, Wirtz has started to play all right. And their front line is too inconsistent, so I don't think they have a chance. The same goes for these clubs here. I think Aston Villa is doing really great, of course. I think they haven't lost in 11 games now, which is crazy. But today, actually, the day of recording, they are playing Arsenal. So we are going to see, you know, the matchup today. I'm really interested to see. But come on, put it in the bag, man. Aston Villa, man, winning the title. I mean, it's just, for me, it's not possible. And they are also in Europa League. And I think that's going to hurt them. They don't have the similar depth to, you know, to a City, to an Arsenal. They do have good players, like, of course, Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers, by the way, cold. He's just cold, man. What a player. But I think Manchester City or Arsenal is going to be the winner of Premier League. Now, for City's point, I think they have also a bit of an inconsistency in their performances. I think when they play a bigger team, they usually win their games, but they don't usually, like, perform better than the team they actually beat, which you could actually see against, for example, Real Madrid. I think we were slightly better than them, but they still got the win. And that's because they just score goals. All around, all of their players are technically good enough to finish their chances. And, of course, they have Erling Haaland. You can just see that. 43 goals and 17 conceded is not even that bad. But that's where I think Arsenal is finally going to win the Champions League. Sorry, the Premier League, of course. My bad. I think their defense is just going to be too strong for this Premier League season. I think they have had, by the way, they have had bad injuries this season as well. And they are still top of the league. I think if you did this 3 years ago and they had the similar injuries, they would now be sitting where Aston Villa is. They would be already bottling without Gabriel. Saliba was injured. Saka was injured. But recently, I have really liked Arsenal's performances, other than, of course, the loss here, which the Aston Villa, I mean, is it a reflection of the injuries, or is it the reflection of, I don't know, man, maybe they have something against Aston Villa, but we will see today, of course, in the league, where it's way more important. And yeah, I think Arsenal is going to win the league just because their defense is just too good. And I think when all of their players are fit, they can win basically any game in the world. Even in the Champions League, we've seen that against Bayern, for example. And I think they dominated Bayern throughout the whole match. Maybe 15 minutes you would give. But yeah, Arsenal is on another level. And yeah, I think the likes of Rice, Gabriel, Saka are just going to outperform City a little bit, who are, in my opinion, not as good as people think they are. But shout out to Cherky. Next up, guys, the winner of the Premier League is going to be Arsenal. But next up is our favorite league, which is going to be La Liga, of course. My team, Real Madrid, and the high ones from Barcelona. I'm honestly, I am putting, Villarreal and Atletico Madrid in the bag, my brother. Stop laughing. They are not winning this league. Atletico Madrid, too inconsistent. They give you a 10 out of 10 and then a 0 out of 10. They cannot win La Liga for me. And Villarreal, I think, being in the Champions League really doesn't help them. Because I think if they had all of their players fully fit every single game in La Liga, they would be sitting above Atletico Madrid. It's of course, it's close. They just don't have... They don't have the overall quality in depth, in my opinion. They have good enough players starting, but it's nowhere near enough to compete for La Liga. Now, Real Madrid, of course, I mean, I have to just say it. This season, I think only 2 players have been impressive in this team, and that's Thibaut Courtois and Kylian Mbappe. And you can even say Kylian Mbappe is, of course, scoring goals, a lot of penalties as well. But some games, he's also underwhelming. I do think we are moving in a better direction now with Rodrigo starting. But, for example, this game, you see a 2-0 green result. But this was the most red result of the season. We should have got pumped by Sevilla in that game. We were awful. And the games against Talavera, Deportivo Alaves, Celta Vigo, and Manchester City just show me that this team is not ready to win La Liga. And yes, this might shock some people. I am going to predict Barcelona to win this La Liga title. I have always been saying that I still think that we can win La Liga. But I think Real Madrid has something different in store this season. And I do think Barcelona, I do think they are a bit lucky because their defensive inconsistencies are crazy. But this league doesn't really capitalize on big teams not showing up. Let's be honest, guys. If Real Betis, Bilbao, Elche, Sevilla, Sevilla was the only one that actually capitalized. And they should have scored 7 against Barcelona, not 4. And that's what I'm saying. Barcelona gets away with murder sometimes, but they score goals. If they didn't have the firepower they have, 51 goals scored, they would genuinely be sitting in around 5th, 6th place. And I'm sure of it. If you didn't have that much of firepower, your defense is honestly so awful this season. It's crazy. And those 20 goals conceded should be at least 30. And Barcelona fans, be honest with me in the comments. Do you think this defense is one of the worst defenses that you have ever had? I mean, Koundé has been inconsistent. Balde cannot keep the high line. Kubarsi, I mean, maybe the last month he's getting better. And you are forced to play Gerard Martin at center back. But I do still think you have more of a consistent team to win La Liga this season. But of course, we're going to get into Real Madrid later on. But yeah, these were my top 5 leagues predictions, which is of course going to be, as I said before, Barcelona, Arsenal, Bayern, AC Milan, and PSG. Now we are going to get into the European Cups, which is going to be Conference League. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do think my Czech boys have a chance from Sparta Prague. So I would pick Sparta Prague, as you know, from my heart. But as a prediction, I do think Rayo Vallecano can actually win this competition. There is, of course, Crystal Palace, AZ Alkmaar. Fiorentina is not countable this season. If you just look at Fiorentina, by the way, in Serie A, they are dead last with 1 win. Okay, they have just won a game. But they are awful. I'm not going to come to them in. I've seen people predicting them to win this, but I just don't think it's happening. I think Rayo Vallecano's home advantage is going to play a huge part. And I do think this is this may be a hot take, but yeah, I do think Rayo Vallecano can do big things in this competition. If it's not going to be Rayo Vallecano, it's going to be my boys Sparta Prague. I am not really a fan of Sparta Prague, but come on. If the team is from Czech Republic, come on, let me have it, man. Let me have it. Let me have something. Now, another one of my boys, the biggest boy of this channel, the Don, ISKO Alarcon from Real Betis is going to help Real Betis win the Europa League. I'm saying it now. They got beat by Chelsea last year in the Conference League. This is their season. But I actually have 2 clubs because I think if ISKO actually comes back, and I'm not even joking, ISKO is a game changer for Real Betis. And if all of them perform, Anthony is on his good form, I think they have a lot of good players and they can outperform every single team that is here. But Aston Villa have the man, Unai Emery. And what is Unai Emery? The knockout tournament god. He is literally a god of tournaments in football. Because look at Villarreal in the Champions League. Do you remember the season when they got in the semi-final? Of course you do, because we won the Champions League that season. My bad. Let me stop mentioning that. But yeah, it's going to be Aston Villa or Real Betis for me. And if I had to go 100% on one team, I would say that Aston Villa is going to win it. But if ISKO is 100% there and Real Betis play their best football like they did last season in the Cup, I do think they have a really, really big chance to actually perform. By the way, I just want to mention Mittelstadt, Real Madrid. Maybe. I have just seen him in here. I mean, he's 28, left back. I just had to mention it, bro. Come on, I'm starving in the January transfer window, okay? Let's get back into the predictions, though. The champions! We're back! It's almost back, man. I'm so excited, man. I have to play for a tiny bit. Okay, let me chill. Don't copyright me, please, YouTube. Okay, this is one of my favorite competitions to predict because I think there is so many teams that can actually win the Champions League this season. I mean, let's go through them. Of course, Arsenal, the most consistent team in the league phase of the Champions League last season and this season as well. Bayern Munich, firing, of course, and being, I think, the best offensive team in this. And, of course, with alongside Paris Saint-Germain, who have not been even as a full squad. Most of the times, they have, of course, beaten Barcelona. They have shown levels to many, many teams. And I think Manchester City, alongside Real Madrid, all have a chance. You could say anything you want about Real Madrid. Champions League, we are there. Minimum quarterfinal, and if we get in that semi-final spot, it's a 90% Real Madrid is winning. So I'm gonna give you a percentage of every team that I think is gonna win. Arsenal, 0%. We are not having the Bordeaux win the Champions League, okay? I have given them the Prem. Champions League, hell no, bro. Come on. Arsenal winning the Champions League, hell no. Bayern Munich, I think this is the second biggest chance of a team winning the Champions League because I think they are fierce and they actually play really, really good football and they have diversity. What would you say Real Madrid had in that three-peat, run from 16 to 18? They had so many options to attack, to destroy you from the midfield, to destroy you as a defensive unit, as attacking fullbacks, defensive fullbacks. They had so many different options, and they have Bale, Isco, Kovacic coming off the bench. We had everything. Marco Asensio in that time. And Bayern reminds me of that. When Musiala comes back, there is Karl, Musiala, Gnabry, Olise, Luis Diaz, Nicolas Jackson, Harry Kane, and of course, Alphonso Davies, of course. Stanisic is more of a defensive, anchor there. I really like their team, and I do think they have a really big chance of winning the Champions League. But let's stop the glaze! The biggest club of them all! Hold! I don't care! This is the hot take of the season! Real Madrid is gonna win the Champions League! Yes! I am deluded! This is the hard prediction. This is from my heart. My head is not working, bro. It's black. It's genuinely pitch black in that right now. Real Madrid is gonna win the Champions League. I'm deluded. I don't care. I don't care. Mbappe, please. Vinny, where are you? Please. Rodrigo, score some headers, bro. Bring me that City Rodrigo, bro. Jude Bellingham, big game player. Tchouameni, destroy some legs. Come on. We can win the Champions League. We are awful in La Liga. And you know what? It is the same? That 2021-2022 season. We were cheeks. Nobody thought we were going to beat PSG. Nobody thought we were going to beat Chelsea. Nobody thought we were going to beat Liverpool or City. But we constantly kept improving and improving. And I'm not saying we're going to win La Liga. That's my point. I think we are not consistent enough to win in a league format. But when it comes to an off game, if this team performs to their 100, like we did, for example, in the El Clasico, we can win the Champions League. And if you're saying, but you're too biased, this and that, shush! It's my team. I can do whatever I want. Real Madrid is winning the Champions League. And Kylian Mbappe is finally going to lift the trophy with the big ears. I think this is the biggest hot take of the video. You can hate me in the comments for it, of course. And I want to know your prediction for the Champions League. Because I think, alongside with the World Cup, the 2026 season is so hard to predict that this is one of those trophies that is going to shock some people. What if somebody like Inter even pops up, I mean, the final slayer, man. Shush, man. I'm not talking about Inter, man. My bad. I'm gonna stop joking, okay? Now, let's get into something a bit more fun, I think. And I don't really have too much of an opinion on this tournament, but I do think, and I know Morocco haven't won this tournament, which is, of course, AFCON, and they are hosting it as well. They haven't won this tournament, I think, since 1970s. They are once again hosting it, and I do think they have been looking great. This brother has, by the way, scored 2 bicycle kicks in 2 games. No? 3 games. Okay. 2 bicycle kicks, bro. They, of course, had a draw against Mali, it was. Yes. And I do think the draw actually helped them. I have watched the first game and the last game. And the first game, they weren't really like that good in my opinion. They just they played Zambia, right? No, Comoros, my bad. But Comoros, you cannot really, you know, compare Comoros to Morocco. But I do think the third game was actually really good from a standpoint. And my brother, why is Brahim Diaz why is Brahim Diaz performing right now? Stop! At least win them the AFCON, you bum. Yeah, you know I hate you, bro. But if you win Morocco the AFCON, I think I might like you slightly a little bit, you know? Get your value up, you know, so we can sell you to Saudi. Thank you so much. This is like the biggest reason I'm saying Morocco is gonna win. So Brahim Diaz puts his value up to the top, tippity top of his tank. My brother, leave my club, please. So Morocco, yes sir. Morocco is gonna win the AFCON. Now, the two biggest, I think, talking points, apart from the Champions League, of course, is the World Cup and, of course, the debate in the Ballon d'Or, which I think you can see my preferences in the Ballon d'Or rankings this season so far, of course. But let's start with the World Cup. Brazil, I'm gonna say Spain, France, and England have the biggest chances this tournament. I'm gonna eliminate England because they are cheeks and they bottle every single trophy they possibly can. So we are gonna do a three-way split. And I'm gonna talk about every single team one by one, which is gonna be France, it's gonna be Brazil, and it's gonna be Spain. I'm not gonna pick my winner because, you know, I wanna save it later down on the season. So I'm not gonna reveal my full winner, but I do think one of these three nations is gonna win the World Cup. I'm gonna give the percentages of these like teams as well. I think the least likely to win the World Cup from these three countries on form and from what I have seen is, of course, gonna be Brazil. I think Brazil already have a really tough group, so I think that's actually an advantage because they are good enough to win this group, but also, you know, get those tougher games in, you know, get this team morale up. If you beat Morocco once again, it's a huge result. If you beat Scotland, it's a good result. You know, Haiti is more of a, you know, an easier opponent, you could say, but you never know in the World Cup. You never know. And of course, I'm saying this because of my boy, bro. Neymar Jr., it is finally time. This is probably your last World Cup, let's be honest. My brother, your legs look like this. I'm sure your ACL is flopping like this on that right knee. And I'm sure you want to win this World Cup more than anything in your life. And the same goes for the legendary manager. I can finally say it. He is not destroying my club anymore. Carlo Ancelotti. The best tournament manager of all time. Carlo Ancelotti. 3 Champions Leagues with the most cheeks teams I have ever seen in the Real Madrid shirt. We were never supposed to win some of those Champions Leagues. Let's be honest, guys. We got outplayed in some of those Champions Leagues. That 2014, I think that's different. The 22, 24, we know what's going on there, bro. That's heritage. That's Real Madrid and Carlo Ancelotti. That's the eyebrow, you know? But this Brazil team has a huge chance. If Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro, I mean, Marquinhos, Gabriel. What is this team? This is an all-around good Brazil team. I think they lack a better striker, but I do think World Cup Richarlison. I mean, guys, have you seen the goal he scored in the 2022 World Cup? I still haven't forgotten that. So I give Brazil huge chances, and I do think it's a bit of a sympathy for me, you know, because I think Neymar deserves to win that World Cup. But yeah, I think they have the least chance of these top 3 teams. And the second one is going to be, for me, Spain. I think there is a lot of pressure on Spain, of course, as they're going to be on France as well and Brazil. But I think they are going to go out in a weird way. If they don't win, which I do think they have a huge chance, they are going to go out to some random team. You know, like Norway or some like dark horse is going to surprise them. That's, I think, where their weakness comes in. If they underestimate their opponent. And let's be honest, the Euros, that's nice. France in the Euros, not the same. Netherlands in the Euros, not the same. Germany, if we're gonna be real, in that Euros, they kinda got robbed by Spain. So Germany could give them a tough game as well. Spain is, of course, now it's the pinnacle of football in the national side. But I do think they have some weaknesses. Once again, what if their attack doesn't work this season? I know Nico Williams, of course, with Yamal. They have worked before, but what if Nico Williams turns up in his Athletic Bilbao form? What if Pedri doesn't perform? What if Rodri isn't there anymore? Rodri is not the same anymore. Let's be honest, guys. Like, Rodri, of course, is a good midfielder, but I don't know, maybe Nico Gonzalez is gonna start, man. Like, my boy, Blaugrana is gonna say that Nico Gonzalez is the top 10 player in the world. Shush, by the way. But Spain has good chances of winning the World Cup. Let's be honest, guys. But my number one is gonna be France. And, you know, the narrative is Kylian Mbappe is gonna win the Ballon d'Or, and it's possible. Because World Cup Kylian Mbappe is genuinely on the same level as the greatest players of all time. I have not seen a player look so comfortable on the biggest stage of football and just score, 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 score. Lashes, slashes, slashes. He gives everybody nightmares. He almost broke the script against Messi. He didn't, of course. But bro, he scored 4 goals, including the penalty shootout. He scored a hat-trick. And people will always say, it's 2 penalties. Do you know how much pressure is on those 3 penalties? That's the biggest pressure in any game of football in history. There is not a game bigger than the World Cup final. And against Messi, legacy game, oh my goodness. He scored 3 penalties and scored one of the best goals of the tournament. That volley, to make it 2-2, by the way, that's not a 2-1 goal. No, that's a 2-2 goal to save your country. And this is going to happen again. They have added so many good players as well. They have a better Chouameni, a better Camavinga. They have a new right winger and Olise, new striker and Ekitike. They have Dembele. They have so many options. And if Kante and Pogba come back, I mean, what is there to think about this team? Some people are still telling me, but Deschamps, this and that. Deschamps in the World Cup is not Deschamps in the Euros. Get that through your head. Deschamps in the World Cup is a cheater, bro. He does something. He does voodoo. He genuinely does. And then just slap some, I don't know, magical dust on his players. Because that 2022 campaign, they were cooking ass. They were cooking everybody. And Harry Kane almost never misses a penalty. This brother never misses a penalty. He missed a penalty against a keeper which he played in the same club for Tottenham for like 10 years. How? This brother skied the penalty, bro. Kane, you're a bum, by the way. But that's not luck. That's not luck. That is not coincidence that he missed that penalty. If they had just a little bit of luck and Kolo Muani wasn't a bum in that final, they would have won 2 consecutive World Cups. That is the difference in that World Cup final. Kolo Muani being cheeks. So that's why France is going to take 50% of my chances of winning the World Cup. 30% is going to go to Spain and 20% is going to go to Brazil. Who would I like to see most win the World Cup? France or Brazil, of course. Ban Spain. I don't want to see Lamine Yamal win the World Cup, hand. Like, come on, bro. Now, I think this is the biggest debate. Who is going to win the Ballon d'Or? Let me move the camera right here, bro. Okay. Kylian Mbappe, Kane, Haaland. I don't think there's anybody else on that level this season. You could maybe say Lamine Yamal, but he has, of course, I think, missed a little bit too many matches for him to be right now in the Ballon d'Or competition. And Dembele has, of course, been injured. And I don't think anybody comes close to these guys. They are just putting up numbers that are not comparable to other people. Now, if you're asking me, who is the best player from these 3 players? It's, of course, Kylian Mbappe. And if my predictions happen, and Real Madrid do go on to win the Champions League, and France go on to win the World Cup, Mbappe is clearly the Ballon d'Or winner. There is a clear Ballon d'Or winner. It's finally going to happen. But it can easily go south if Harry Kane manages to win the Champions League. If Harry Kane manages to keep up these numbers, win DFB Pokal, win the Bundesliga, and win the Champions League, it's completely different. I mean, Mbappe can still the World Cup, can still win the World Cup. But if Kane does the Champions League and does the treble domestically as well, I mean, what is there to say about Kane this season? I don't particularly like him as a player, and I do think he sometimes misses in the bigger games. there is nothing to say if he wins the Champions League with Bayern this season. And the same goes for Erling Haaland. I think he will have a great World Cup with Norway, and I think Norway will be my dark horse in the later predictions in the season. But if Erling Haaland wins the Champions League or the Premier League with Manchester City, the conversation is much, much different. But in my opinion, from what I have said in this video, I predict Real Madrid to win the Champions League, and I think France have the biggest chance of winning the World Cup. So I am going to say Kylian Mbappe is going to win the Ballon d'Or. And I know this sounds delusional, but I think this is actually a spoiler. If you don't like spoilers, you shouldn't have watched this video. Because I think that Real Madrid make miracle happens. And we are awful. We are so bad at playing football right now that I think we are going to turn it around. La Liga is done. I think La Liga is finito. Because if we focus on that Champions League, we can get that. Mbappe, this is on you, bro. If you don't win us at La Liga or the Champions League this season, questions have to be asked. But I appreciate you so much for watching. Just to do a little bit of a recap, of course, let me move my camera right here. This was my prediction on all of these categories. Serie A is going to be won by AC Milan, Liga and Paris Saint-Germain, Bundesliga, Bayern, La Liga, Barcelona, Prem is going to be Arsenal, Conference League might be, of course, Rayo Vallecano. Europa League is going to be Aston Villa or, of course, Real Betis, as I said before. UCL, my boys, Real Madrid. Come on. Let's do what we always do. Let's be cheeks and win the Champions League. AFCON is going to be Morocco. World Cup is an early, three-way prediction. 50% for France, 30% for Spain, 20% for Brazil. And the guy that is finally going to win his Ballon d'Or, Kylian Mbappe. Give it to me, man. These are my predictions for the top 5 leagues, for the Europa competitions, for the AFCON and the World Cup with alongside the Ballon d'Or. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I like to make these videos as well, so make sure to drop a comment and drop your predictions as I said before. Love you guys. Please subscribe. Please turn on that notification bell and like the video as well. It helps so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.